Sailing in last night and making pretty good speed, but we weren't showing any speed on the boat for water speed, so speed through the water with our log. But we were getting sort of 6.5 knots SOG, so speed over the ground, so I would have expected something. I don't think that could possibly have all been tide. And at the moment, if you take a look over the side of the boat, you will see that we're tied up to a pontoon in Saltash, just underneath the Tamar Bridge. But we must have at least a knot of tide on. Jellyfish! Tide's racing by. You can see all these bubbles and bits of seaweed and stuff floating down the river and belting along. If you look at our bow wave, see we've even got a little wake of our own. So I really would expect some speed to be showing, which must mean our log has a little crustacean living in it, or a bit of seaweed or something. So under the boat, we've got a little paddle wheel that whizzes round, and that does some clever mathing and tells us how fast we're going on all of our instruments. So that means I have to do one of my least favourite jobs, which is make a big hole in the bottom of the boat to get it out and clean it, because I don't fancy going for a swim this morning. Come with me. All right, so first thing we need to do is find where our log is in the boat. So on our one, this is our mast strut, and it's underneath there. Somewhere near the front of the boat, most likely. Floorboard up, out the way where it's not going to fall on your head, because you're going to go down here in a moment. So this is what we should find. We've got a couple of sensors. This is our depth transducer, and this is our speed and temperature sensor. So we've got the skin fitting. There's a tunnel sticking straight up, and then this one fits inside. And it looks very similar to this one, but it has a little paddle wheel on the end. So this is our blank, and what I've got to do is swap this one for that one so I can give it a clean. Now inevitably there is going to be some water that comes into the boat because this is obviously below sea level, so it's got some pressure on it, so it's going to try and make a little water fountain in the boat, which is why I don't like doing it. We've got a little cleaning kit here, so we're ready to deal with the situation. And what we always tend to do, or try to do, if you look back here, you've got the hole in the matrix that's allowing water to flow through back to my bilge pump. I like to just plug that up. It's obviously not a watertight seal, but it's just going to slow down any flow to try and contain the spillage into this bay. And then I can clean it out nicely, rinse it down with fresh water, and I don't end up with a load of salt water in my bilge, which should I ever get a load of water in the boat and I want to know whether it's come from the outside of my water tanks, it's not confusing the situation. Right, so I just want to make sure that my blank is free, so I'm not going to end up tying it in with anything else and getting myself all confuzzled. So that's all good to go. And what I tend to do is get the log out, a hand over the top, pick up the blank, then blank in, and then I can start scrubbing it out. So on these designs, just got this little cuff. It's going to undo. We've got a bit of pressure on it already. So log out, hand over the top. There is a flapper valve under there, so in theory it should seal. They never seem to feel all that fantastically, to be honest. So hand's pretty effective though. Blank, in, screw it down. Before you do anything else, I would get rid of the seawater. So we've got a reasonable amount of water there, which is why we've plugged it up, because I don't want that lot travelling backwards into the sump and ending up with the normal bilge. Obviously I wasn't very speedy this morning. I didn't get until 1:30, 1:45 this morning, so that's my excuse. Okay, so I've got rid of that excess seawater, and I just need to have a bit of a clean up in here. So it doesn't actually look too terrible. But inside you can see there is a few little witchetty grubs, crustacean-y type things. You need your handy skewery type widget. Oh, it's a little crawly one. I'm just going to try and get all the way in there, get rid of all of these guys. They can all go back in the sea. And we will have a free-flowing paddle wheel again. Right, we're all clean. So that's all flowing nicely now. We've just got to put it back in. The weapons I've used to get rid of all these little wrigglers is a very technical piece of equipment here. It's a bit of old cocktail stick or something. Manky old toothbrush, a couple of J-cloths and a sponge. You want a variety of fighting tools to try and get into all the little nooks and crannies in there, because they do hang on. Putting the log back in is going to be much the same as before. The only thing we really want to make sure of is that it should have an arrow or some sort of indicator as to which direction you're going, so that the maths can be mathed right. Otherwise you'll always be going backwards, which is somewhat demoralising. And some of them you can get in at an angle, which is also going to affect your speed overall, really. So try and get it in pretty straight with that arrow facing forwards. And it's the same drill as before. We're going to get the blank out and then worry about getting the log back in. So keeping a little bit downward pressure on it. Cuff's completely free. Blanks out and hand on the top. Make sure I know which way that arrow's going. And then cuff down. Arrow's facing forwards. Doesn't need to be wrenched up super tight. You've got a couple of O-rings in there that are actually providing the seal, and the cuff is just stopping it from bouncing up and down, but obviously snug is better than not. So I can get rid of all the excess water that I've just let in again. So I've actually now gone round and washed everything with fresh water, just so I haven't got that salty water contaminating my bilge if I do ever need to do a taste test, which is obviously best avoided, but sometimes has to be done. And then I'm really making sure everything's as dry as it possibly can be, as dry as a dry thing, because if I ever get water in the boat that I'm not really expecting to have in the boat, once I've checked my sea cocks and my stern gear, this is probably going to be my next port of call. These are the only other holes in the boat, really. So lastly, I've just given everything that I've used to wash out the log a really good clean with fresh water. What you'll find is if you keep salty things in the boat, they tend to attract moisture, and then get all sorts of horrible smells and stuff. So this is my cleaning gear. It's all been washed out. Make sure you put the toothbrush in the right place. If it goes back in the heads, obviously you get those little wriggly things in your teeth and you look like the Grinch. Not so good. And all of that can go back in with the log. Make sure my blank is still tied on, so it's ready for next time. Floorboard down, and then we'll go and check if it's worked. Right, floorboard back in. Let's go and see if we've had any success. Right, so back on deck. You can see down here, still got weed bobbing past us quite happily. And you can see on the pontoon all the seaweed's being dragged off in that direction. So we're stemming the tide, it's pushing past us quite nicely. And we can see here that the tide is running at 0.9 of a knot. So we're still tied up and we're moving through the water at nearly a knot. So it's a successful job, that. So log speed is really quite important. So we want to make sure it is actually functioning, because it's going to give us an accurate mileage of what we've done through the water, which if then we're going to apply tide to, we're not sort of compounding tide. If we just run off GPS speed and we had a following tide, it can really change our position to where we think we are. Although if you've got GPS, you just can look at the plotter, but it's always worth having it working. The other thing you can do, especially if it's on your own boat, is when you're leaving the boat for a few days or a week or months or however long you end up not being able to go sailing for, is leave the blank in the hull, not the paddle wheel. And that way when you come back, you've just got to swap it over and you don't have to deal with all the little witchetty grabs, which is probably a bit more pleasant. But please don't leave a charter boat like that, because it might confuse us when we jump on and think our log stopped working. So I hope you found that helpful. I'm just waiting for Stu to turn up from the train, and then we're racing back towards Foy. You can see here we've split tar berth. We're coming off down the river. So we are up here somewhere. Just here, coming down Tamar into Plymouth Sound. So we're doing just under 4 knots through the water, but up here we have our speed over the ground, so our SOG, which is close to 7, so it means we've got absolute thumping tide hoofing us out. And I suppose it's quite important that you can see both and you can actually figure out what is happening.